The woman he called a burden was now saluted by an entire nation. Brandon Mitchell adjusted his tie in the front row. Confident, untouchable, champagne in hand. The announcer's voice echoed. "Please welcome General Danielle Carter." Spotlight. She stepped forward, composed, radiant in full military dress. Behind her, 3 cadets followed in formation. Ava, Riley, Skye. Brandon blinked. Glass slipped from his hand. Crashed. His own voice returned, sharp and cruel. "You're a burden!" He couldn't look away. She didn't look back. Danielle stood tall. The room rose. What he left behind had become untouchable. Danielle Carter was 19, raised in South Atlanta where sirens sang louder than lullabies. Her mother cleaned houses. Her father was never named. Danielle had one plan: West Point. She studied late, walked past liquor stores to get to school, carried a military prep book in her backpack, always. She moved like she had something to prove. Because she did. One afternoon in the college library, she met him. Brandon Mitchell, polisher, charming, already certain of his future. He offered to help with calculus. She agreed. He smiled too easily. She didn't. She noticed how he never looked at where she came from, only where he thought she could go if she followed his path. He spoke of law school, politics, legacy. She spoke less, listened more. 2 worlds met in silence, one looking to rise, one afraid to fall. They started spending time after class. Study sessions turned into coffee. Coffee turned into quiet walks across campus. Danielle smiled more. Brandon held her hand like he meant it. He pulled strings for her scholarship, called a professor he knew, said she deserved a chance. But some things stayed unsaid. When she talked about West Point, his tone shifted. "Military life isn't for people like you," he said once. "You're too smart, too sensitive. Politics would suit you better." She didn't argue. But she never forgot. He came from a family with clean suits and generational wealth. Her world was thrift stores and second chances. To him, her dream was noble, but naive. To her, his support felt warm, but conditional. The gap between them hadn't opened yet, but it was there, waiting. The bathroom light flickered. Danielle sat on the edge of the tub, elbows on knees, head down. The pregnancy test lay on the sink, 2 pink lines. She didn't move. Only the sound of her heartbeat filled the room, loud, uneven, alive. She covered her mouth with both hands, tried not to cry, didn't succeed. That night she laid awake staring at the ceiling. No text, no plan, no idea what to do. She didn't tell Brandon. Not the next day, not that week. She kept going, class, work, library, eyes focused, stomach turning. At lunch she touched her belly, quiet, almost afraid to connect. The world around her moved fast, but inside time froze. She was no longer alone, and she knew everything had changed. She told him behind the campus library. Cold wind, quiet corner. Danielle whispered, "I'm pregnant." Brandon stared. No hug, no pause, just words, sharp and fast. "I can't throw away my future for a mistake." She blinked. He didn't take it back. "I've worked too hard. I'm not ready for this. You shouldn't be either." She didn't cry, not in front of him. She just nodded once, then walked away. That night rain poured. Danielle stood under a flickering street lamp, backpack soaked, arms wrapped around her stomach. No coat, no plan, just the cold and silence. The word mistake stayed louder than the thunder. She wasn't sure what hurt more, his words or how easily he said them. The eviction notice came 3 days later. Danielle stood outside the dorm with one duffel bag and nowhere to go. She called her mother. No answer. Later that night, the hospital confirmed. Her mother had collapsed, breathing, but weak. Danielle sat on a bench outside the ER. Phone at 2%. No contacts she could trust. She scrolled through shelters. Most were full. At a local outreach center, a woman behind the desk looked at her belly, then handed her a flyer. "Martha Washington House. They take women in your situation. No judgment." Danielle didn't ask questions. She just nodded. The shelter wasn't warm, but it was clean, safe, a shared room, a cot, a bathroom down the hall. Not home, but not the street. And for the first time in days, she slept. Danielle sat alone in the shelter's common room, hoodie pulled tight, eyes heavy. A paperback on her lap, unread. An older woman approached, short gray hair, steady eyes, military pin on her coat. "Name's Eleanor Banks," she said. "Army, retired, 17 years. Danielle nodded, said nothing. Mrs. Banks sat beside her, not too close. "You think this child is the end." "It's not. It's your reason." Danielle looked at her, really looked odd. No pity, no judgment, just presence. You want to fight? Good. Fight for you. Fight for them. The next morning, Danielle woke early, made her bed, signed up for GED tutoring, cleaned the shelter kitchen without being asked. It wasn't much, but it was forward. Danielle worked mornings at a diner near the bus station. She poured coffee, wiped counters, took double shifts when someone called out. At night, she studied in the shelter's rec room, textbooks open, toes swollen, back aching. Her belly grew heavier each week. Still, every Tuesday and Thursday, she walked 3 kilometers to the ROTC prep course. Boots too tight, belly wrapped in a cheap brace. Rain or sun, she showed up. The instructors noticed. But no one asked questions. She kept her eyes forward, saluted sharper than anyone else. One cadet joked, "You really think they'll let you in pregnant and all?" She didn't respond, but the next day she arrived 10 minutes early, finished first on the obstacle course, then walked home. Slow, quiet, proud. The contractions came early. Danielle was 27 weeks, no insurance, no family. She was rushed from the shelter to county hospital. Fluorescent lights, cold sheets, no one holding her hand. The doctor said nothing at first, then, "Triplets." Her breath caught. The pain hit harder. A volunteer nurse in army scrubs stepped in. Calm hands, calm voice. She stayed the whole time. Hours passed. Then 3 cries, 3 daughters, Ava, Riley, Sky, Tiny, wrapped tight, fighting from the first breath. Danielle held them only for seconds. Machines took over. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." The nurse nodded. "They're strong, just like their mother." Danielle didn't smile, but she didn't break either. Ava's chest tightened just after midnight, wheezing, gasping. Danielle grabbed the inhaler. It didn't work. She wrapped Ava in a blanket, pressed her close, and ran, down 2 blocks, across the lot, into urgent care. No shoes, no coat, just instinct. They treated her, stabilized. Danielle exhaled once, then went home. The next morning she fed all 3, 1 spoon at a time. Riley cried from the crib. Sky needed changing. Ava slept on her chest. She studied for a military entrance exam while rocking the stroller with her foot. Washed bottles, folded secondhand onesies, did homework at 3 a.m. beside a pile of laundry. She never said she was tired, she just moved, because no one else would. Because forward was the only direction left. Danielle built systems because chaos was not an option. Ava woke at 6. Riley ate at 7. Sky read at 8, picture books out loud by herself. Each girl had a printed schedule taped above her bed, color-coded, laminated, breakfast, cleanup, story time, nap, again, every day. Danielle worked part-time at the shelter front desk, then cooked, bathed them, tucked them in. At 9 p.m. her class started. Headphones on, eyes red, notes spread across the kitchen counter. She was earning a master's degree in public leadership. No shortcuts, no extensions. She studied while folding laundry. Typed essays while Riley slept on her shoulder. She didn't call it discipline. She called it survival. No missed alarms, no excuses, only forward. In the shelter hallway, a woman sat alone, early 20s, shaking hands, tear-streaked cheeks, a pregnancy pamphlet in her lap. Danielle passed by with Sky on her hip, paused, sat beside her. The woman didn't look up, just whispered, "I can't do this. I don't have anything." Danielle didn't answer right away. She reached into her bag, pulled out a small photo, 3 girls in matching t-shirts. Neither did I. A long silence. Then she said, calm but certain, "The hard road gives strong children." The woman blinked, still scared, but listening now. Danielle stood, gave her the photo. "Keep it, just in case you forget what's possible." She didn't say she had all the answers. She just shared what she knew, and that was enough. Danielle opened the envelope on the shelter steps, hands steady, eyes sharp. Inside, an official seal. West Point, admissions office. She scanned fast, stopped halfway, read slower, accepted. She closed her eyes, exhaled once, held the paper to her chest. A week earlier, she'd asked a Vietnam vet from the shelter to write her a letter, Mr. Wallace. Quiet man, never smiled. He said little at the time, just, "If you lead like you live, they'll be lucky to have you." Now his words sat behind her acceptance. Danielle walked inside, folded the letter, didn't tell anyone, not yet. She wanted to hold the moment, to feel it alone, just for a second, before everything changed again. Danielle hit the ground hard. Mud covered her elbows. Sweat blurred her vision. She kept crawling. The drill sergeant barked, "Keep moving, Carter. The dirt don't care if you're tired." She didn't respond. Didn't need to. Whispers followed her in the locker room. "Single mom? Seriously?" "She won't last." She memorized the routes, timed every course, slept 4 hours, 8 standing up. The tactical test came on a Thursday, simulated mission, leadership under pressure. Danielle led her team clean through. No losses, no confusion, no wasted moves, scores posted the next day. First place, Cadet D. Carter. She didn't smile, she just folded the results and walked out. Let them whisper. She had work to do. Ava solved algebra before breakfast. She didn't ask for help, just slid the paper over for Danielle to check. Riley won a school essay contest. The topic, what makes a leader? She wrote about her mother. Sky took apart the toaster, rewired it, made it blink. Each girl moved differently, but all 3 moved with intention. At parent-teacher night, their names were on the honor board. 3 rows, same last name, same quiet drive. Danielle didn't say much, just nodded, shook hands, thanked the teachers. At home, she added new task cards to the wall. STEM fair, writing deadline, robotics meet. None of it came easy. But discipline was in their blood now, and it showed. Brandon Mitchell made partner at 34. By 38, he was CAO, new house, private school, big headlines, perfect on paper. His wife left 2 years later, said he never listened, said everything felt like a transaction. Their son stopped answering his calls, preferred video games and silence. Brandon tried gifts, tried lectures, nothing stuck. At the office, he smiled for cameras. At home, the lights stayed on, but the room stayed empty. He scrolled through his own press articles late at night. The wins felt smaller than they used to. No photos on his desk, just numbers, stock charts, a bottle of antacids. He built his future exactly how he wanted, and somehow it felt like less every year. Danielle pinned her second star without ceremony. She didn't invite press, she didn't need applause. But one photo changed everything. Ava, Riley, and Sky stood beside her, each in youth cadet uniform. Danielle stood center, full dress blues, eyes forward, hand on her daughter's shoulders. Someone from the base posted it online. Within hours it spread. Headlines read, "Iron Mother from Shelter to Star General." Interviews flooded in. She declined most. She let the image speak. 3 girls, 1 mother. A legacy earned, not gifted. People shared the post with captions like, "Discipline looks like this." "Strength has a name." Danielle said nothing, just kept working. But that photo stayed. Pinned to dorm walls, locker doors, home screens. Not because it was pretty, because it was proof. Danielle stood in front of a room full of new recruits. No slides, no medals on display, just her voice. She looked at their faces, young, anxious, unsure. She remembered that feeling. "You don't become a soldier by holding a gun," she said. "You become one by not quitting." Silence. Then pens started moving. "You earn the uniform by standing back up. Every time." No one spoke. No one checked the clock. Her voice was calm, not loud. Her posture did the rest. One recruit whispered later, "She made it feel real, like I could do this too." Danielle didn't teach tactics that day. She taught weight and reason. And most of all, she taught why it matters to stay. Danielle sat at her desk sorting reports, stacks neat, pen steady, routine. A knock at the door. Her aide stepped in, a little breathless. "Ma'am, you need to take this call, now." She picked up, voice on the line, measured, official. "Colonel Carter, you've been selected for promotion." Pause. 4-star general, confirmation pending. If approved, you'll be the youngest in modern history. Danielle didn't speak right away, just closed her eyes, breathed once. "Understood, sir. Thank you." She hung up, looked at the wall. The photo of her daughters in uniform stared back. She didn't celebrate. She didn't cry. She stood, adjusted her collar, and went back to work. Brandon scrolled through the morning headlines on his tablet. Coffee, silence, same routine. Then he froze. Front page, as youngest 4-star general in modern history. The photo, sharp, proud, uniformed, Danielle Carter. He blinked, zoomed in, same eyes, same posture. No, it had to be someone else, just the same name. He laughed once under his breath. Can't be. He searched the article, read fast. Mentions of Atlanta, single mother, ROTC, 3 daughters. The laugh stopped. He set the tablet down, stared at the wall like it might answer something. No one else in the house, no one to ask, only the sound of truth knocking again. Quieter this time, but harder to ignore. Brandon's assistant stepped into his office, holding a navy blue envelope. It's from the Department of Defense. He opened it slowly. Inside, an invitation to the National Military Honors Gala. Gold lettering, formal seal. He'd been named a primary sponsor. His company had donated heavily to veteran support initiatives. At the bottom, a single line stood out, honoring distinguished service and historic leadership. He scanned the names, no mention of Danielle. Still, something tugged. He tapped the edge of the card, stared out the window. "Send my RSVP," he said. "I'll attend." The assistant nodded, then paused. "You know who's being honored, right?" Brandon didn't answer, just looked at the envelope again, as if it might tell him something he wasn't ready to hear. The ballroom lights dimmed. Hundreds stood facing the stage, crystal glasses in hand. A voice from the podium echoed through the room. "Tonight we honor a trailblazer, a leader. Please welcome General Danielle Carter." Time snapped. Brandon's hand jerked. His glass slipped, shattered on marble. He didn't move, didn't blink. On the stage, Danielle appeared in full dress uniforms, poised, steady, every ribbon earned, every scar hidden. Brandon stared. Chest tight, hands clenched, years of silence crushed into a single breath. People around him clapped. He didn't. His mind raced back to a rainy night, a trembling voice, a choice he thought was behind him. But now, she was in front of everyone, and he was the one in the shadows. Danielle stood at center stage, straight posture, calm breath, eyes forward. Then, 3 girls stepped into view. Ava, Riley, Sky. Each wore a tailored cadet uniform, hair pinned, shoulders square, shoes polished. They lined up behind their mother, lifted their hands, saluted. The room stilled. Brandon's vision blurred. His throat tightened. Hands trembled in his lap. No one else noticed. But he knew. Each face, each movement, each heartbeat. They were his too. Not by name, not by presence, but by origin. Ava's jaw, Riley's eyes, Sky's defiance. He saw pieces of himself shaped into someone better. His breath hitched. He looked down, then looked again. And for the first time in decades, he nearly cried. The ceremony ended. Applause faded. People mingled. Cameras clicked as light music returned. Brandon stepped forward, 2 feet, then stopped. Danielle stood near the exit, her daughters beside her. Sky tugged gently at her sleeve, voice low, eyes curious. "Is that him?" Danielle didn't hesitate, didn't look back. "Yes, but we keep walking forward." Ava glanced at him once. Riley didn't. Danielle placed a hand on each daughter's back, and they walked, calm, together, unshaken. Brandon stayed behind. Words caught in his throat. Too late to matter. He watched them go, watched what he gave up walk out of reach, not in anger, not in blame, just closure. Brandon sat alone in the corner of the ballroom, champagne untouched, tie loosened, room thinning out. He pulled out his phone, opened his email, searched her name. There it was. Subject line, "Just one ask." Sent years ago, unopened. He tapped it. Simple words filled the screen. "I'm not asking for much. Just a little help if you can. I'm keeping the baby." He stared. Longer than he should have. The timestamp read 2:11 a.m. His thumb hovered over a reply, then dropped to his side. Tears welled quietly. He wiped them fast like no one should see, but no one was looking. The message had waited years. Now it was too late to answer. The sun hit just right as the honor guard stepped onto the platform. Danielle led them, uniform sharp, steps measured, no hesitation, no pride, just presence. She raised her right hand, voice clear, tone steady. "I solemnly swear to uphold and defend." Each word landed clean, not rushed, not forced. Behind her, Ava, Riley, and Sky stood at attention, eyes locked, shoulders square. Danielle finished the oath, lowered her hand, took a breath. She scanned the crowd briefly, not searching, just grounded. Her face held no bitterness, no revenge, no pain to prove, only peace. The kind earned through storms, not handed through comfort. And when the anthem played, she stood taller, not for herself, but for every step it took to arrive. Brandon stood near the exit, hands in his pockets, shoulders low. He turned once, looked back at the stage. Danielle was gone now, so were the girls. Only the flag remained, still catching light. He lingered, not for hope, just habit. For a second he imagined walking back in, saying something, anything, but there was no door open. Not anymore. He stepped outside into the fading light. Traffic hummed, city moved on. His reflection in the glass caught him by surprise. Older than he remembered, eyes dull, face tired. He adjusted his tie out of habit, then let it fall loose again. For the first time, he felt it fully. Not regret, not grief, just this. Too late. A memory rose. Danielle, 19, rain-soaked, eyes burning, backpack clutched, belly just starting to show. The words hit again. Brandon's voice, cold and final. "You're a burden." But this time it didn't stop there. Another voice layered in. Hers, older, steady, unshaken. "No, I was the lesson you refused to learn." The scene flickered. Library tables, shelter beds, hospital lights, boot prints in mud, cadet ranks, Ava's laugh, Sky's soldering kit, Riley's speech, all of it. Pain, purpose, proof. She hadn't chased revenge. She had become the answer, and now the words no longer hurt. They belonged to the past. But she did not, as she carried forward. They stayed behind. In Danielle's office, one photo sat alone on the shelf, simple frame, no spotlight. It showed 4 uniforms, hers in the middle, Ava on her right, Riley on her left, Sky just behind. They weren't smiling, they were ready. Ava had just been accepted into a military STEM academy. Riley was speaking at a youth leadership forum. Sky built her own drone project for an officer training grant. Each chose their path. But the road was the same. Danielle looked at the photo before every meeting. Not for pride, for clarity. She didn't want to be remembered for rank. She wanted to be remembered for what she passed on. Not medals. Discipline. Belief. Fire. The kind that outlives titles. The kind that teaches by example, without saying a word. Danielle. Some roads are hard, but they shape the strongest legacies. Slow shots, Ava lacing up her boots, Riley speaking into a mic. Sky tightening a screw on a small engine. Danielle standing at her window, arms folded, watching the flag rise. It's not about being perfect. It's about choosing not to walk away when it matters most. Cut to a blank screen. One question fades in. Have you ever walked away from what was right because it was hard? Then, comment. I choose legacy. If you're ready to choose the hard thing that matters, a final still. Danielle's family photo. No names, no rank, just presence, fade out.